So you finally want to know what is the best substitution in Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker? Well, I made a tier list and talked about them and showcased every single sub. I hope I did, at least. Let's get into that.
I might act cool. I lost gang members, I can't act cool. I got gang scriptures in my tattoos. I was running from the police in my trap shoes. Posted trying to flip 100, I come back full.
Today we're going to be rating substitutions. Now I am prone to forget some things, so if I made a mistake, let me know down in the comments below. The ultimate jutsus, the defense jutsu video. Listen, I make mistakes, it happens. But let's talk about the first substitution for us. It is the crow substitution here. I'm gonna put it in average. Now what this does is if you do get hit by the crows, you will have your defense lowered. So I think it's average because it's not very effective and most people don't hit it, even though it looks really, really cool. Next up, we have the explosion. Well, not so explosion. This is the clay clone jutsu. Now this is what people used to run with Sharingan and Flying Rajin level 1 before the infamous reanimated Itachi explosion clone. I'm gonna put this in good, because it used to be meta for base. It used to be meta for those attackers that love to run that Sharingan Flying Rajin build because it would explode and do a little bit of damage. So I have to put it in good just simply for the nostalgia effect. Our next substitution is the Crystal Ice Mirrors from the Haku DLC. I'm also going to throw this in good because it is a little bit hard to hit them with the Crystal Ice Mirrors and it's pretty subtle. You don't know what substitution they're going to get hit by until it happens. I will say if they are trapped in there, it does lower their same thing when you get hit by the Icicle Swallow, keeps them in place and lowers, I believe, their attack. I'm not 100% sure on that, but again, it isn't the best substitution in the world, even though aesthetically it is the most beautiful. Next up, we have the most broken, well, not the most broken, but very powerful. This is the emergency exit from Kawaki DLC. If you substitute, it allows you to get your health back, but no, that's not it. You will also get rid of all your negative status elements. So this is a really good substitution that should be more, but another substitution that we're going to talk about a little bit later is a tad bit more broken than even the emergency exit. I highly recommend that you do get the Kawaki DLC. It has a slew of great jutsus and not only a great substitution. Next up, we have the explosion clone from the reanimated Itachi DLC, my favorite DLC of all Shinobi Striker. I have to put this in powerful, especially if you use the Black Crane with the Sharingan. It makes it immensely, basically a third jutsu, not including your ultimate. This substitution is a 40-second cooldown. I wish I could put it in great, but I think the power is just too great and the range of the substitution explosion is just immense. I highly recommend that you do get the reanimated Itachi DLC. I don't think you will regret buying it. Next up, I have high speed movement. Now, I'm kind of conflicted about high speed movement. I believe you get this from Rock Lee. High-speed movement is basically just moving out of the way. I wouldn't put it in terrible because it is pretty effective. It doesn't sub you that far away from a base if you're a defense, but you don't recover. If you do recover health, it's not much. I don't believe you do, but basically, essentially, you're just moving out of the way, much like Rock Lee doesn't have chakra, or he doesn't have chakra control to produce a substitution like you want. The ever so annoying substitution, Ink Clone from the Psy VR Master. I could put this in average, but I'm not. I'm gonna put it in good, and here is why. Because the ink clone is very subtle, and if you do get that negative status element, which will blind your screen, it actually lasts for a little bit of time, and it's really annoying. You need a new substitution, like an emergency exit, or you need a cellular extraction to get it off your screen immensely. Next, we have the lightning substitution from the Kakashi VR Master. I have to put it in good as well. You're like, Aisha, you're putting a lot of things in good, but this one is also very subtle, and it'll stun you and keep you in place, and also gives you a negative status element, which I find really great, especially if you like to run that Sharingan and you don't have any DLCs. I highly recommend that you go with something like the lightning clone here. So let's talk about the multi-shadow clone from the Naruto DLC. I don't believe it's too overpowered. I don't believe it's good. I think great is a good place. You get 2 sets of substitutions, but they're each 40-second cooldowns. So if you use 2 of them rapidly, you're essentially going to have to wait 80 seconds to get both back, and that is why it's not powerful. It also has no real benefits other than allowing you to sub, and they can't target you immensely because they have 3 shadow clones coming at them, so they can't really target you too easily, but it's also just really an annoying sub for the people trying to fight you. Some people really rock with the paper clone, and I could be one of those people. It's from the Konan VR Master, if you didn't already know. What it does is allow you to be hit by the papers, and it will seal your jutsus kind of like a chakra scalpel or an air palm. Now, this is pretty cool, but it's real hard to hit. A lot of people are going to see this, and it immensely and quickly hits you. Now, I will say I have never been hit by a paper clone, so in my opinion, this is an average substitution. Here is another substitution I am very, very conflicted on. It is the sand clone. I'm going to put it in average, but I would put it in good. And here's why I'm going to put it in average. I personally see sand clones real quickly and kind of backflip away from them, but if it does hit you and you are in the air in a pitfall map, actually, no, we're going to put this in good. And here is why, because this little instance right here, if you get hit by a sand clone in the air, it will drop you faster than me in a pool because I can't swim. So listen, sand clone will make you pitfall. Seriously, it will, and it'll stun you and keep you there even if you get hit. It's like a Tsukiyomi effect that you can't really be hit out of it quickly. That's why I'm going to put it in good, but the reason why I was going to put it in average is because it's really hard to hit, but if you do hit it, especially in air, it will instant kill, and if a substitution can instant kill you, then I have to put it in either good or great. This is by far one of my favorite substitutions, so I might be a tad bit biased here. I think Shadow Clone is a B to average type substitution. It's a 25-second cooldown. It subs you super far away from whatever you're fighting. So if you're a healer, this is a huge plus. If you're a range, also a huge plus. Attacker, not the best substitution for you. Defense, maybe a good substitution for you, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's healer and ranges that really need to use that Shadow Clone if you don't have a DLC, which we'll talk about in just a second. Shadow Clone will sub you super far away, so you won't get beat up by the person. A lot of times people will use a regular substitution, and what that does is basically place you like a couple feet away from where you're fighting, so they just have to re-target you, and it's basically a beatdown city. But the 25-second cooldown is really good. It'll leave a Shadow Clone in front of you, and then it just explodes after time. By explode, I mean puff into like white clouds. The snake clone is a little weird. Not so good for me. It doesn't really do anything other than give you a poison, which you know if you get hit by poison, it lowers your health recovery. But I've never been hit by a snake clone. The real obvious when you see a snake clone, it's not going to be a shadow clone. You know to backflip away or get away from that clone. Even if you get hit by it, you don't really feel the effects. So I have to put it not so good. I don't think it's terrible, just on the base off. Snakes are really cool. Aesthetically, it's really cool, so I can't put it in terrible. It's not a horrible design, and it makes sense to give you poison damage. I just wish the poison damage was a tad bit more effective, or maybe the snakes restrict you, and that's why I'm gonna put it in not so good. You also get this from the Orochimaru DLC if you didn't catch that already. Next up is the stone substitution. I've actually never seen anybody ever run this. Like, I'm being so serious. I have never in my life seen anybody run the stone substitution, and I'm gonna go ahead and assume it's because it's not very good. I think it has a similar effect to the sand clone, but it doesn't give you a stun. It just lowers your speed, kind of like when you get heavy bouldered, but the substitution doesn't really last that long. Next up, we have the regular substitution. I'm gonna put it in terrible, and comments, relax, okay? We get it. You love the substitution. You love that Neji didn't figure out how to substitute with a tree nearby. But anyways, I digress. Listen to me right now. This substitution literally just puts you off right next to the person attacking you, so all they have to do is flick their stick and keep hitting you. It's really a broken substitution, and not broken in the good sense. Broken as, hey, please fix it to where it subs me to where a tree is, or sub me far away so I don't continue to get beat on. Honestly, it's not aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't make a cool sound or anything. It doesn't give you a boost of substitution or a boost of anything. It's just a sub, and it's a 20-second cooldown substitution, but essentially it just moves you 1 inch away from the person killing you. So essentially, you just lost your sub chances, and now you're just going to continue to get beat on. I have never seen somebody with a regular substitution beat on a platinum, but that's just me personally. I'm sure you're in the comment section. You're a substitution warrior, so you continue to do you. But that's just my opinion, and like opinions, everyone got one. Next up is the Shisui DLC Swift Step. Now that one's a tongue twister, but listen to me right now. After you sub from this, it's gonna sub you pretty far, and I like that because then you can rush in because it gives you a speed boost, an evasion boost, a tracking boost, all the great stuff that Uchiha Shuriken does, but now you have it in a substitution. Beautiful, and it heals you a tad bit as well. I'm gonna put it in great because it doesn't have any other added effects, and it doesn't do much healing, and it doesn't move you that far. I think great is a great place for Swift Step. I think it's one of the best substitutions in the game. I'd say it's like top 3. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Now, the next substitution is Time Space Hop. If you watch my favorite builds, I literally put it on everything. I put on everything. Anyways, listen, this substitution allows you to be invincible and improves your ninjutsu cooldown and gives you a little bit of health back. I love it, and aesthetically it's beautiful. If I could put it above all these, this is the best substitution in the whole game. Buy Last Battle Sasuke, not for the Susanoo armor or the Rinnegan Chidori. Buy it for this substitution alone. Also, you get the intro hair if you're curious on where I get my hair at. There you go. Listen, Time Space Hop is absolutely unrivaled. Emergency Exit is its close second. It's like its ugly little cousin. And then Shadow Clone Explosion's right there. And Swift Step is beautiful, but nowhere near Time Space Hop. It's a great substitution. You need to grab it. I'm telling you right now, you need to grab this substitution. Next up, we have the Water Clone, which you can grab from the Kasame VR Master, I believe. I think I'm going to put it in good because a lot of people run this, and before the Time Space, the Emergency Exit, the Swift Steps, the Multi-Shadow Clones, everyone was running Water Clone. Why? Because it lowers defenses, it stuns them, and it's real easy to hit people because it's kind of subtle when you substitute it. It still looks like you're fighting, and that's why I love the Water Clone. I've been hit by Water Clone more times than I can count, and it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to put it in good. Let me know what you think about Water Clone. Have you ever ran Water Clone? Let me know. Somebody talked about how I asked you guys to comment down below too much. Listen, I'm sorry, I'm trying to communicate. That's on me. Anyways, let's move on. Last but definitely least, it is the Wood Clone Jutsu. Now, Wood Clone is kind of cool. It does keep people in place. It does give people negative status elements once they get hit, but it really doesn't do too much, and it's real hard to get hit by. Like, it's not a subtle substitution at all. You'll realize it as soon as you start hitting a Wood Clone. It makes a specific sound. So let me know what you guys think of this tier list. You can make your own tier list. I'll put a link down below. Send it to me on Twitter, HD2K2, and let me know. I'll like it, retweet it, and give you my opinion on your tier list. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.